Hypocrisy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Lawsplaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Ricada of Ricada Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. And guys, I have to apologize for being late. Turtleboy, where I were in the back room kind of just doing a little pre-show, but I was late even getting down to that. I had a trip into the Twin Cities today. One of the last times I get to drive my Mustang for the winter. And about 30 minutes into my trip on the way back, it starts dumping snow, because of course it does, because that's just how it goes. So then I have a white knuckle grip on the steering wheel for the rest of the drive. But everybody, I had to pick up my daughter on the way home too. And so we all made it safe. Everything's good. But it was just like, it was a bit much. And it took a lot longer than planned. But anyway, welcome to the show, Aidan Kearney, otherwise known as Turtleboy. You've been on the show before, but why don't you kind of introduce yourself a little bit to the chat, and then I'll do a little bit more of the kind of show introduction.
So my name's Aidan. I am a journalist / activist / comedian on YouTube. I run a publication called tbdailynews.com. Been doing it for the last 10 years. We expose a lot of public corruption and do a lot of investigative journalism, quite frankly, that the media around here in Massachusetts is not doing. And we've broken a lot of big stories, and none bigger than the one that we've recently done involving a case with a woman named Karen Reed, who has been framed for murdering a Boston police officer named John O'Keefe, who was her boyfriend, in the house behind me at 34 Fairview Road in Canton, Massachusetts, owned by a Boston police officer. And I've been aggressively covering this story, reporting the stuff that the mainstream media is not. And as a result, last week, 3 weeks ago now, I was arrested at my house. I had my home searched, my car searched. They took all my phones, my computers, and everything. And now I'm facing 8 felonies and 120 years in the slammer. So,
well, that's quite an intro. What a nice resume that is.
You want a baby?
No, I feel like you're one of the guys at the beginning of or at Blazing Saddles, right? When they had the bad guys come up and list everything off.
Yeah.
What'd you do? Witness intimidation.
It's a funny thing, witness intimidation. It sounds like the witness intimidation statute is designed to like stop snitching code in, urban environments, when, gangsters tell you better not talk, or I'm a pop a cap in your ass, or, prevent people from coming forward. With me, right. It's wait till you see the charging documents. I'm being charged for basically making comments on my YouTube show that are making fun of, like, I asked, one woman has an order on me. She's the wife of the lead detective in this botched investigation, and I left a voicemail on her thing asking if she was going to visit her husband in jail and if they had conjugal visits. So now I'm being charged with witness intimidation for that comment. Like, it's wild. It's absolutely wild.
It's very intimidating. I'm terrified of it. Obviously, like, what? So
it's scary.
So this is what we're gonna be talking about, guys. We're gonna talk about what Aidan has covered that I've talked about on the channel, just very briefly, and kind of get into the Karen Reed case a little bit, why it's important. And then we're gonna just talk through these charges, what's happened to them, because this is really, this is a quintessential First Amendment question. What does it mean to have a free press? What does it mean to have free speech if, when you use your speech in a way to attempt to garner information that you can use to present as a free press, you get charged with felony crimes and face a biblical lifetime sentence? 120 years, right? That's the number of man given by God.
I'm not going to make it. I don't think I'm going to make it.
Well, not with that attitude.
No, I'm saying if I get the sentence, it's a long life,
I know. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. This concept that somehow you've intimidated people by asking questions about an ongoing case involving public officials. That's what makes it even worse. Exactly. Like, It's not just some random dispute between two people. And you're absolutely right. Witness intimidation is about stopping mobsters, mafia. It's about stopping big companies. It's about stopping unions. It's about stopping people who have massive amounts of resources, typically some brand of henchman, from going around and actually getting people to not testify, to take convenient vacations, or sometimes take a little bit of a dirt nap. And or go on a long swimming trip or whatever, deep sea fishing, something to keep them out of a courtroom because they have critical information about someone with money and power. But in this case, the money and power is all on the side of the government.
Right. And the guns too. That's the most important part. I mean, like they can do whatever they want. A tyrannical government can do whatever they want. Why? Because they have all the guns, and
All
there's
of 'em.
nothing you can do about it if they come to your house and say you're going to jail, even though you're like, I didn't do anything wrong. This is completely unjust. They got the guns, so what are you going to do about it? But yeah, I mean, this whole thing, this should scare the shit out of journalists everywhere, and not just journalists, free people who want to peacefully protest. This should scare the shit out of organizations like even like Black Lives Matter. Like they're the people that, I mean, they burned down American cities. We just let them do it. They stood outside of Supreme Court justices' homes and demanded that they vote, that they not overturn Roe versus Wade, to jurists. And somehow I am being charged with witness intimidation because I held a peaceful protest in this town. One of the things, we had a rolling rally in Canton one day on July 22nd, about 300 of us. This is cited in the charging documents. We went to the homes of 4 different individuals who we believe, and the evidence shows, were involved in covering up the murder of John O'Keefe. And I went outside of each of them, like a couple hundred people on the streets, no women, children, elderly, you name it. And we stood outside and we talked about what the person who lives in the house did. And we said that they should tell the truth. They should tell the truth. Not they should change their testimony to a lie. That's what witness intimidation is. When you try to prevent people from telling the truth. We just simply urged people, you should tell the truth, which is a common sense thing that everyone should agree with. We're not hurting anyone. We're not trying to get people to lie. We're telling people that you should tell the truth about what happened inside this house behind me.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that is the entire that's the entire principle of the process of a court case, is that the truth is coming out. You're going to be put under oath. There will be people to challenge anything that you say, anything that you refuse to say. That will all come out. And having people, encouraging people, even demanding people to tell the truth is not witness intimidation. Witness intimidation is, again, preventing the truth from coming out, usually by preventing the truth from having a chance to even be explored, by preventing people from showing up. So here I'm trying to, I think I've got the part of the charging document here. I'm going to see if I can find the whole thing. Unless you've got it. Oh, wait, no, here. If you've got a link to it.
I can bring it up. I can find it for you. No problem. Give me a minute.
Yeah. If you send me that link, we'll pull them up in a second here, but it's crazy. And I see what I love about this already is you have some fans that are here as well.
I do.
And I say a warm welcome to everybody who's in the chat watching this show on YouTube and on Rumble. One thing I will say is my chat does not have particular rules. You are under YouTube's rules or you're under Rumble's rules. That's about it. The only rule that I have is no spamming. And fortunately for you, you're all on a 10-second timer, so you can't. So you do have the ability to say what you want, but just know that you're responsible for what you say, and the actions and consequences, or the actions that you take will have the consequences that you reap. But you won't be, you're allowed to criticize me, criticize my guest, although I ask people on this channel to be polite to my guest, as always. If you have a problem with him, just take it up with me. I'll send it to management. It's fine.
I can't send you I loaded the charging docks in below.
I've got those. Yeah. And we'll pull them up in a minute.
Okay,
but you'll have
them. Okay.
You'll have control over the scrolling and stuff. But
whatever you want, I'll direct you to. So
we can get that in just a minute. But this is, guys, this is a thing that Aidan was saying earlier that everybody needs to be concerned about. And when we start getting into the type of activity that's there, we're entering this world And you guys have seen this in multiple different contexts on this channel recently, talking about these types of issues. But we're entering this world where things that were common, mundane activities, not only common mundane activities, but common practice activities in many professions, instances, encounters, hobbies, everything is suddenly being changed. And it's being changed out from under us in a way that puts our normal human interaction at risk. And it's crazy to think that they're leveraging the concept of threat, harassment, and violence, where no violence, threats, or harassment are occurring, to convince us to not interact interpersonally anymore. And now I know that sometimes someone showing up to physically be in your presence might be uncomfortable, but sometimes that discomfort is necessary,
Right.
a necessary part of gathering information. Many people on this channel will be fans of like a James O'Keefe and previously Project Veritas, now the O'Keefe Project. The way he works, the way they function is that they go and they talk to people. That connection that people make in person, that ability to read body language, that ability to communicate beyond just the verbal, beyond just the written word, is what allows us to get to those truths. And exposing that is a critical, quintessential part of not only journalism, but communication and truth seeking in every context. It's why we do court in person. It's why we don't favor teleconference courts. It's why we don't have closed door witness questioning. All of it matters. And so to see it leveraged against someone who is seeking the truth, who is trying to do this, and framed as intimidation, well, I'll work on the framing after we actually get into it, because there's always at least one more way to frame anything. And you have to remember that all of this is framed by a government with every gun on the planet, with all of the money in the world, and with an unlimited roster of attorney hours to leverage against you, the citizen, in everything that you do. So that's why we're talking about this. And I'm really glad to have Turtleboy on for it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have a right to be comfortable, believe it or not. Like that's not a thing that you don't have a right to wake up every day and feel comfortable, especially if there is strong evidence out there that you participated in the murder or cover up there afterwards. And people have the right to ask you questions, to peacefully protest you outside of your home. There are legal remedies in order if you feel that you are being unfairly harassed. There are harassment prevention orders you can get. What you shouldn't do is have the state weaponize a statute that is not designed for peace to silence peaceful protesters, and charge some journalist with witness intimidation just because he's affecting public opinion too much. That is essentially what I'm being charged with right now. And they cite it in the documents that we put up 2 billboards. We have a billboard right outside of Gillette Stadium where the Patriots play, and another one in Weymouth, also in Norfolk County. $5,000 for each one every month. And people raise money for it. And I wrote a blog, and I'm actually charged for saying this in one of the stories that I wrote, that I think this is a great thing. Why do I think it's a great thing? Because it's going to be seen by people in Norfolk County who are potential jurors. So now they're saying that I am trying to affect a jury pool or taint a jury pool by educating a potential jury pool with an advertisement that I didn't even pay for.
There's a great way to get around it too. Did you see the ad on the billboard during voir dire of the juror? Like, that's up to the attorneys. And they go, did you see this ad?
Exactly.
No, what ad? Never mind. Do you drive past this? Like, do you drive past this? No. Okay. Well, fine.
You just say, do you know who Turtleboy is? Yes. Then you're out. You're out as a juror. Like it's so easy to just eliminate.
Maybe look, I mean, I'm reading the comments. Maybe they want you. Maybe they want that juror in there, right? It's their job. Both attorneys' job.
The defense does. Yeah, certainly defense. I don't think the prosecution wants that.
I was making a joke because there's a couple negative commenters, but like,
oh yeah.
Once they find out if they like you, then they have the option to ask the follow-up question. Well, can you tell me about what you know about him? What's your opinion? And then maybe they're like, no, actually, we like this person in here. We don't. They get to go through that question. You're not a part of this case. You're talking about it, but you're not a witness. You're not a suspect. You're not anything.
Actually, I am somewhat of a witness in this because I have filed an official affidavit. So in July, one of the Jennifer McCabe, the woman who Googled how long to die in cold at 2:27 a.m., When she thought John O'Keefe was allegedly sleeping at home, she Googled how long to die in cold. Her brother-in-law, Sean, he's a hot mess. He's a bit of an alcoholic. And he made some posts on Facebook indicating that he knew the judge, Beverly Cannoni. So I sent him a message and I said, "Do you really know the judge?" And he responds back. He goes, "Who? Auntie Bev?" ? He goes, "Whose seaside cottage do you think we're gonna bury your corpse in?" And so he's like threatening to kill me and bury my corpse in the judge's seaside cottage front lawn. Except there's only one problem with that. He lives on Cape Cod in a town called Barnstable, and Judge Cannoni owns a seaside cottage in that town. And so the defense filed a motion to recuse the judge. And one of the reasons listed was on a big placard. They had my conversation with the witness's brother-in-law saying, "We're going to bury your corpse in the back of the judge's seaside cottage." And so the judge had to go on record saying, "I don't know this guy. He's just talking shit on the internet. Basically, I'd never met him before," but it was a weird coincidence. So I guess I'm a witness, but not really. I don't know. I could get called for that. I don't know how this works.
That seems like you'd be a witness on the limited issue of recusal, which wouldn't be a jury issue. So, I mean, like that, because that doesn't have anything to do with the Karen Reed murder
and by the
murder case, I should say.
How awesome is this mugshot? Somebody made this for me. So I'm kind of a convict, but not real. I love these mugshots. I was sweet. Like, I've been anticipating this arrest for a while now. I've known that they've been looking into me, and I've been begging them to do it because of all the t-shirts I'm going to sell. And I'm like, and I said, I cannot wait for the mugshot. But anyway, I digress.
You always gotta.
It's a marketing opportunity.
When you get one, when you get the mugshot, you gotta do it right. Trump did it right. He
did. It was a little like off center, and though
it was weird.
I mean, it was weird. It's like, why is he so low?
He had that like Brian Williams angles where he'd try to make his nose straight,
Yeah, he wasn't like looking right at the camera. It was weird.
Yeah. But all right, let's get, dude, this is, I hate laughing because it's so ridiculous, but this is the state of our government that was supposed to be free. Mm-hmm. It was supposed to be affirming, supporting, and protecting of rights from people who would take them. And now it is trying to leverage everything that we've been conditioned to believe into putting us in prison at the government's leisure. So I don't mean to laugh like at the situation, but also it's just so damn silly.
It is
that we're here. But we're going to see what the government says about you, and I'm sure it's all good things as we pull this charging document up. So again, you'll have to scroll through. But
so a lot of repetition here. So they go over the background in this case. A Boston police officer by the name of John O'Keefe was found dead on the lawn of 34 Fairview Road in Canton, a town right outside of Boston. And his girlfriend, Karen Reed, was accused of backing into him. It made no sense. It didn't match up with the autopsy reports. And more importantly, the plow driver who I interviewed and tracked down told me that when he went by at 2:30, there was nobody on the front lawn. So and Karen Reed allegedly hit him at 12:30. So if there's nobody on the front lawn at 2:30, then Karen Reed couldn't have hit him at 12:30. The plow driver also told me that at 3 a.m. when he went to do a second plow, that there was a Ford Edge parked directly in front of where John O'Keefe's body would be discovered 3 hours later.
Right.
And so it's very obvious Karen Reed did not do this, and most likely he was killed inside the house and placed out there. So the lead investigator in this is a guy named Michael Proctor, and Michael Proctor failed to disclose that he is close family friends with the people who live in the house behind me, the Alberts, and the McCabe's, who are the in-laws basically of the Alberts. And his wife, Elizabeth Proctor, is not a witness in this investigation, but she is, because Michael Proctor is the lead detective, the statute says that family members can, if you witness, they count too. So she's one of the 8 alleged victims in this. So,
okay, go ahead. 1 second. So we've got 9 pages. These are the
we actually have 70 pages.
Oh,
but a lot of it's repetition. A lot of it just repeats for each separate charge.
Well, it says 1 of 9. Oh, so this is the first charge, is charge 1 of 9.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. Yep.
Gotcha. I wanted to mention that as we'll get into the document again in just a second, but if you guys want more detailed information, at least a good preliminary look at the case, I did an interview with Turtleboy and Lauren de Laguna several months ago.
Yep.
I saw her in the chat. She did send a super chat. She said, "Free Karen Reed and sexy Dr. Turtle."
Ooh, excellent. Hi, Lauren.
Well, it's S3XY. I mean, I'm trying to speak like the kids do. She's just a young whippersnapper.
She is. She passed the bar in 2 states, though.
I know. It was really awesome. She told me, and I was like, cool, I guess. Now you're double gay. But no, but if you guys want to check that out, if you want to get more information about the Karen Reed case, specifically, we kind of went through the timeline and we went through a lot of stuff on that interview, and you can go back and watch that. We're not going to spend a ton of time digging into the specifics of that case on this show. So you can go find that stream here. Just so we can get into the meat of
right. Okay.
But definitely keep the summary going. I think you're going at a fine pace. I just don't want people to be like, what about this? Like, okay, go find that stuff.
So basically, they list all of my alleged victims here, the witnesses. They have Matthew McCabe, the wife of Jennifer McCabe. She's also a alleged victim in this. Julie Albert and her husband, Chris. Chris is the brother of Brian Albert, who is not, I'm not charged with intimidating him, even though I did go to his house, because he does not live in this district for the court. Like
I thought it was because he was bigger than you.
No, but they told me that they are. I'm expecting a 9th charge with him coming up any day now. Every day I look out the window and I expect to be arrested again. So I think another charge is coming. There's Colin Albert, who's the son of Chris. I've never seen him in person. I haven't seen most of these people in person. And Julie Nagel, who is also in the house that night, whose house we protested peacefully during the rolling rally. And so now go ahead.
When you protested peacefully, where was the protest? Was it like in the street? Where was this protest?
In a street, like, so in a public street, you know, because this is a suburban neighborhood. You know, a lot of them don't have sidewalks. So, and there's hundreds of us. So we stood outside and peacefully protested for about 7 or 8 minutes at each house. And then we got in cars. We tried to like, there was so much traffic in this town on that day because there was a parade of us going from house to house all over town. We announced that we were coming. It was peaceful. Like I said, children, grandmothers, everyone was there. Nobody got hurt. And the police, we didn't see a single police officer the entire day. And which we would have if we were doing something wrong. Like at no point did they tell us, oh, you can't do this. This is an illegal assembly you're doing. They just let it happen for hours and nothing went wrong until go ahead.
I was going to say, well, because it's not illegal. It's not illegal to be in a public street as long as you're not obstructing traffic. And as we've seen, we have ample suggestion that there's no problem obstructing traffic if you have quote unquote the right cause. But
it is now. It is illegal now because I'm being charged for it.
Well, I mean, the witness intimidation is separate from like like you said, illegal.
No, that's part of it.
You're unlawful assembly as well.
No. The peaceful rolling rally protest that we did in town.
Yeah,
that I'm being charged with witness intimidation for that.
Right. But what I was saying is the crowd generally.
Right.
Because you mentioned no police came up and said no unlawful assembly, you know, stuff like that. So that's what I'm saying is, well, like that isn't an issue, you know, to do. So what they have to do is ham fist this into some sort of specific charge for you. You've organized this thing, which of course it's not illegal to organize a peaceful protest, but if they can somehow peg you as doing something that goes beyond the scope of mere organization and somehow is targeting an individual specifically in a non-legal way, that's what they're going for. And it's fucking sickening because, again, there's another First Amendment right, the right to peaceably assemble in a public place. If you're on public property, all they have to do is say, get the hell off.
Right. Exactly. But they didn't, and because there was nothing illegal. But 90% of the charges come from my YouTube show. For instance, Kearney posts weekly videos to his YouTube where he's discussed the Karen Reed and made statements regarding witnesses. Below are a small selection of verbal statements made by Kearney in these videos that have been published to followers and are publicly available for viewing without being a subscriber, blah, 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 blah. But keyword about the witnesses, they said. So episode 594, Turtleboy returns to Canton. Okay. Now I got to read this in like dastardly voice here.
Okay. So real quick though, to be very clear, these are not statements made at a this is on YouTube. They're just on YouTube.
That's right.
Did you record the videos and then send like a business card covered in blood in the mail with a link to the video on the business card?
No, I just I just sat here in my house and made these comments. So
Right.
these are the statements that are allegedly witness intimidation. Here's an example. This is not my last trip to Canton. I will be back. I'll be back. Get used to this. These people think that I'm fucking around. You haven't seen the last of me. Get used to it. Get used to it. So you play that, right? And it sounds dastardly. First of all, there's nothing illegal about what was just said there. But
Nothing at all.
But let me show you here. Let's see.
Unless while you're doing it, you're stabbing a picture of the witness. Were you doing that? Were you stabbing the
No.
witness's picture or a voodoo doll or anything?
So let me show you the actual video. I have the actual video here. I'm going to pull up of the thing in context. So here it is. Like here I am talking about. Here's the background of it.
Don't copy strike me.
You don't need to be scared of Brian anymore. We neutered his ass. He's like Brian Albert is so used to being the alpha male of Canton. He's so used to like nobody fucks with his family. 2 years ago, if anyone did what I did today to Chris Albert, Brian Albert would put them in a fucking grave, you know? He'd be like, he'd kick your ass, Seabass. And so it just must frustrate him to no end to watch me, because I know Brian Albert's watching this right now, to watch me just emasculate his family time after time. And there's nothing you can do about it. There's just nothing you can do. And I'm just going to keep doing it.
Can you pause it real quick?
I'm just going to keep like this. Go ahead.
I just want to say it's polite of you to emasculate the women though. Like that's nice. That's like a service.
That's true too. Yes, that is. But you know, I tell them here, I go, I'm going to keep, this is what I mean by coming back. I go, I'm going to keep, this is not my last trip to Canton. I will be back. And more and more, I think people are getting like a year or so ago. So that's me where I'm saying like, I'm going to come back to Canton.
Right.
To protest you. Now, the second part of that where I said, I'll be back, get used to this. These people think that I'm fucking around. So from that point on, I start playing video, right, of where I went to Canton. I went to the Canton DPW headquarters, and this grisly looking woman here kind of gave me, I was looking for the DPW director, and she gives me the runaround. Like she's not answering my questions about like where the director is. And she's like, oh, he's not here, blah, blah, blah. And so listen to this. This is the part they're charging me with witness intimidation over. Like these people think I'm fucking around. Like I'm Mr. Internet guy. Like I'm going to sit here and I'm going to write blogs all day. And it's okay. It's just writing blogs and just ignore them, whatever. No. I live an hour away. It's not, I got Alexis now. It's not a problem. It's got great mileage and a good engine. I'll be there in an hour. No problem. Like I'll get used to it. Get used to it. So I'm talking about the DPW lady gave me the runaround. She wasn't doing her job. She's like, and I'm like, oh, that's okay. I'll be back tomorrow. No big deal. And they're saying that I'm not even talking about the witnesses there. I'm talking about the lady at the DPW who's not doing her job. I'm like, I'll be back. And they see what I mean? They take out of context clips and they say, oh, this is witness intimidation. You read this out loud in court. It sounds dastardly. You actually play the clip and you're like, oh, he's just being a journalist. He's upset they wouldn't answer his question. So he says he's coming back to town.
Right. And the strategy that prosecutors use here is they do that clipping. They try and truncate the statement to make it sound as bad as possible. And they just hope that that statement being presented will be enough to force a plea deal or something else out of the issue. But there is a complete evidence rule where you're going to say, judge, there's more to that statement. There's context that matters. There's a thing we can show you why this is not a threat in any way other than it's a threat or a promise to come back and ask questions. You have to add a true threat, a non-protected speech threat has to have some sort of present intention to put someone in fear or apprehension of their of imminent danger to their life, their health, some sort of safety, or a family member, something like that. That's what has to be conveyed to have a true threat. And typically you have to do that explicitly. You don't just get to say, I'm coming back, because I say I'm coming back when I walk away from a dinner table. Like, I'll be right back. Like, that's not a threat that I'm going to come back with a sledgehammer and murder everyone. I'm going to come finish my roast beef. Like, leave me alone. But it's wild because that is the strategy. It sounds terrible when you try and intentionally frame it to sound terrible. But I'd actually argue it doesn't even sound terrible to say it in the first place.
Right. The next one on the charging docs here, it's episode 598. It says here that, quote, "This guy, Chris Albert, has his head on a swivel looking for the Turtle Riders. I got bad news for you, Chris. I got really bad news for you. They're literally everywhere. You guys should just stop going out in public. It's only going to get worse from here. I know where y'all were today. You were in Agawam, weren't you? You guys were at some sort of little league thing in Agawam. Alberts, McCabe's, all you people were there. Just know that there will be no life as normal is over. Life is normal. You had a normal for a while there, but you guys literally got away with murder." And
Right.
so that is me telling them that when a body ends up on your front lawn and there's strong evidence that you guys put it there and you framed an innocent woman for murder, yeah, your life is going to change as a result of that. That's just a matter of fact. And what this was in response to, what they failed to point out was that, I'll show you this video. Like, there's like another out of context clip how they did this. This is basically the summation of why I'm being charged. So you just heard me read that. Now let me bring up the actual video so you can see just how bad faith this was done. Here's episode 590.
Before we pull that up, there's 2 super chats I want to hit real quick. And Ikaika's shuttle service says, "Can Turtleboy share his top 10 ratchet women?" I think that's what he called it. Also, if anybody is flying to Kauai, please Google me at Ikaika shuttle service. I got some good reviews. Mahalo, Nick. Hey, mahalo, brother. We'll do the ratchet women at the end of the interview, if anything. Right now, I really want to keep focused on these First Amendment issues. And then Fagan's Law, who is a dirty prosecutor, says at some point, please talk about Counterman versus Colorado, which is a very important case for you.
That one's going to help us out a lot. That's going to be that's the first one that came up with. So,
and we will remember to do that at some point, but I want to get your video and I want to get the story out, and then we can talk about the law and stuff like that as we get into the thing. But here's the sharing for the video.
So one of these guys who's a victim, his name is Chris Albert. He's the brother of Brian Albert, the homeowner, and he went out to a bar in Canton, and we call our fans Turtle Riders. 2 Turtle Riders were down there in free Karen Reed shirts, 2 women, and they took a picture of him. And then he called them whores and followed them out to the parking lot, and they got into a confrontation, which they filmed. And I provide commentary on that. And this is how it went. This is what I'm being charged with.
Okay.
We haven't seen this yet. So there, she posts this, and she says, "This is Chris Albert, right? We are at the waterfall."
Is he the tall guy and the bald guy?
The bald guy, yeah. He's an elected official too. Bar. I don't know if he drove there or not, because I don't know if he lost his license. When people forget about Chris Albert, I mean, look at that face, by the way. Look at that face. That is the face of a man who he knows he's being photographed. He's pissed. He's not happy about it. Like, I confronted this guy a couple weeks ago. This guy's got his head on a swivel everywhere now. He's like, "Turtle Riders, where are they?" I got bad news for you, Chris. I got really bad news for you. They're literally everywhere. You can't, you guys should just stop going out in public. Like, that'd be my recommendation. And it's only going to get worse from here. I did not direct this person to do this.
They left that part
I can't stop them. They're everywhere. They don't like you. Nobody likes you. You guys killed someone. You literally killed someone. Not you. You didn't do it. You raised someone who did it. And, your big bro did it. But and you obviously know this, and you're helping to cover it up. But I guess you didn't kill anyone. So you got that going for you. So good job, Chris. You just raised the killer. Anyway, and we're going to get to that too. But he's obviously, when I saw him, this dude is ready and looking around. They insist on going out in public. Chris, I know where you guys were today. Y'all were in Agawam, weren't you? I got pictures of you on my cell phone. I got people sending me pictures. You guys were at some sort of little league thing in Agawam. I got pictures of Courtney Proctor. I got pictures of, who was she with there? I forget. There's a whole crew here. Alberts, McCabe's, all you people were there. So just know that there will be no life as normal is over. Okay. Life is normal. You had normal for a while there, from January 29th till about April, January 29th, 2022 till April of 2023. You guys literally got away with murder. Okay. You were being called out in court documents. So there you go. That's the actual context of it that they don't play. They make it sound like I'm telling him a life for you is normal. I'm talking about you're kind of famous, Chris. I made you famous on the blog, right?
Well,
Like
he's a public employee, right? Like he's an elected official. What's his position?
He's a selectman, the town selectman. Big shot.
For someone who doesn't live in Massachusetts, that'd be like an alderman or like
it's the town equivalent of a city councilor.
Okay. So, guys, I see people saying like, how's this cool? Stuff like that. Whatever. Here's something that we all need to get in. This is an important principle of living in a land of liberty. It is that you don't get to like everything that happens, and you don't get to be okay with everything that happens on a personal level. You can despise the speech and actions of any number of people for any reason you want at all. You can hate the guy at Subway because he won't put the mayo on the fucking bread and he puts it on top of the toppings like some sort of degenerate monster. Or you can hate the guy at Jimmy John's because he made your sandwich too fast, and that deflates the price of labor. I don't know. It doesn't matter what you like and dislike about things. What matters is what is legal, what is illegal, what is protected speech, and what can the government do. The one thing that we have to know, because it's the critical element of all of these liberties that are recognized by the Constitution, is that public officials are the most prone to scrutiny of any category of people at all. You entered the public eye and said, cast your votes to me. My life is laid bare before you. And we still treat, for some reason, politicians as if they're people, but they are not. They're some category lower than a people because they have sacrificed that personhood to become an agent of the state voluntarily and by your selection. Once they do that, you have the right to criticize them. You have the right to criticize them harshly. You definitely have the right to politely and peaceably approach them in public. You have the right to be wrong about them, so long as you do not intentionally convey a falsehood for the purpose of harming them that you know to be false. You have the maximum right to approach, discuss, criticize, interact with public figures.
In that clip, I'm not interacting with.
You're not.
I'm commenting on another person interacting with them, and I simply point out and the undeniable fact. I gave advice. I said, if you go out in public, people are going to point out the fact that your family's involved in a murder. If I were them, I would not go out. That was the advice that I was stating in there. I didn't say that, and I actually said I even had the caveat in there, which they didn't put in the charging documents. I'm not telling these people what to do. I have no control over these people. You understand that? Millions of people are reading these stories, and I can't stop what they do. So if that were me and I was in that position, I would stop going out for a bit. But they can do whatever they want, right? So like it is just so, and the government heard that entire clip. They took out intentionally pieces of it to make it sound more sinister than it actually was. And in doing so, they completely changed the meaning and the context of the actual quote. That is malicious what they're doing. That is malicious. They are trying to hem up. This is not what the statute is intended for. They're weaponizing it to silence a journalist who is critical of them. The same cops who came to my house and put me in handcuffs are the exact same cops who I have been alleging in my reporting were involved in the cover-up of the murder of John O'Keefe. The same district attorney's office who is under federal investigation by the FBI for their involvement in a cover-up in this is the same district attorney's office that is now charging me with these bullshit charges that are not going anywhere. And I cannot wait to take them on in court. So
absolutely. And I didn't want to make it sound like you were doing this. What I'm trying to convey is the idea that anyone in public who sees, first of all, a private citizen in public has every right to walk up. You're at a bar, you're on a street, you're at an event, a parade, wherever you are, you see someone, you recognize them, you have the right to walk up to them. Now, a private person may say, hey, you know what? I don't want to be bothered right now. Please back away. A public person can say, hey, you know what? I don't want to be bothered right now. and you might have to back away then, but you can approach them later. Sometimes at their office, sometimes at an event. It doesn't matter. They're a public person. You get to do this. You get to do it to the maximum extent beyond anybody else. And so when you're saying your life is going to be different, we believe you have murdered someone. We have evidence to say you have murdered someone or participated in or covered up or whatever it may be. You get to make those accusations again, so long as you do not know that they are false. Whether you're right or wrong is one thing or another, and people will make up their own minds. I've seen the evidence you've presented, and it seems very compelling to me. But I'm also not following it as closely. So right now I'm on the side of, kind of looks like these guys are covering up a murder that they committed, and they're trying to frame this woman. I guess I could be persuaded either way still at this point, but it doesn't matter, because I could go up to that guy and be like, hey, you're that guy that I think like might have murdered that other guy, right? Or participated in it. They can't do anything about that. And so when you're saying your life will never be the same, it's because the reality is so many people have every right to approach you. They have every right to question you. And as long as they do not threaten violence or place you in imminent fear of actual harm, fuck off. You have to deal with it. I'm sorry. If you don't want that, don't be a public official anymore. You have every right to step down, move away, do whatever you want to try and avoid that. But if you're telling me that Kyle Rittenhouse can go through what he went through from the government, from the news media, from everybody on earth, while he was completely innocent and still goes through, you're telling me a politician who asked to be elected, who asked to be public, can't? No, thank you. I'm sorry. That's bullshit. And the First Amendment guarantees our right to question these people. So for people who are like, how is this okay? That's why. Because it's the First fucking Amendment. You don't have to be comfortable with it for you. Don't do it. If someone came up to you and you were like, oh God, I hate this. Yeah, you might hate it, but that's kind of America. Go live somewhere else. There are plenty of places that will punish people for way less than this, and you can go live in them and see how you like it. With that, let's go back to the document.
So check this one out. So episode 604, Colin Albert drops out of school. Brian Higgins flipping is the end here. Quote, this is a quote. There's a witness intimidation again. I said from the beginning, I don't want this to go to trial. I don't. I literally don't. I think this should be dismissed. That's what I say in the next breath. I'm like, this should be dismissed. This case is a fraud. I believe these charges should be dismissed. I think it would be a waste of taxpayer money if this went to trial. You are allowed to say that in the United States of America.
Of course.
I am being charged with witness intimidation for that statement. I mean, or how about this one? On September 23rd, the Billboard comment. He posted a blog entitled whatever, okay?
Wait, what is the blog? The blog?
The Turtleboy Daily News. This is my website.
Okay, I didn't want to like.
They call it a blog to demean me.
I didn't want someone to hear you say it's titled whatever, and it actually be like, this guy is a pedophilic murderer, like something like that.
No,
right?
no.
Like, so it's not a nefarious title. It's a very generic title of your writing.
Right. It's free Karen Reed billboard goes up on Route 1 outside of Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. 2 more to follow. And Kearney praised the organizers of the billboard. In the post, he wrote, quote, thank you to everyone who donated as well. Although millions of people know about the injustice that is happening in Norfolk County, I would bet that over half the population of Norfolk County has never heard of Karen Reed before. That will change because of this 3-pronged billboard blitz. It's really important for people in Norfolk County to know about this story because that is where the jury pool would be chosen from. This is witness intimidation. I like a billboard. I think the billboard's good because it's educating the public about something they should be concerned about. The fact that this woman was framed for a murder, and that is witness intimidation, because I think that's a good thing. That's what that quote right there. That's a felony. I got a felony charge for that, for writing those words. That should scare the shit. That should scare the shit out of every single person of every political creed that you can have men with guns come to your house, go into your home, take your phones, take your computer, lock you up, and bring you to a courthouse an hour and a half away, parade you in front of the media, and charge you with 9 felonies, and you're facing 120 years because you said that you liked the billboard. That's insane. That's
a billboard you didn't put up.
That I had nothing to do with. I just liked it. I think it's a good thing. I think education is a good thing. My bad. I apologize. So
I wouldn't. Yeah. I like the billboard too.
So here's another one. This is up. Let's see. What's the episode 590? So this is a quote that I had on my another show. I said, so I went through. I got in the court filings. There is a list of everybody Jennifer McCabe called on the morning that John O'Keefe was killed, and because she made some really suspicious phone calls, and she deleted a lot of them too. Right.
Mhm.
And she also deleted a Google search for how long to die in cold. So I went through the documents and I read them all and on my show, and I'm showing people what happened there. And I show and I start making the calls. I actually call every number on this list. And unbeknownst to me, one of those numbers belongs to State Trooper Michael Proctor, who is the lead detective in this, who I purport is heavily involved in the cover up. And this is the message that I left on Michael Proctor's voicemail. Quote, "Hi, Trooper Proctor. This is award-winning journalist Aidan Kearney calling. I'm calling to talk to you. I do have some questions about you. I have a lot of questions, actually. For starters, why didn't you tell me one before doing the investigation that you were good friends with the Albert family? Why did you, in your report, say that you were introduced to Chris Albert on February 10th when you have known him for more than a decade prior to that? Why did you lie about what time you towed Karen Reed's car? Why did you intentionally misspell the names of several key witnesses in your report? And, I'm just wondering about all of those things. And maybe you and I can meet up for coffee. Boy, do I have a lot of questions for you. When you were inside Fairview Road that night or that morning, why did you stay there for 4.5 hours? And what did you guys talk about and do? And why were you descending stairs with John O'Keefe's phone in your pocket? So give me a call back, man. We feel like you and I have a lot of catching up to do. I talk about you a lot. I feel like I know you pretty well at this point. I know which year you graduated from the academy. I know you were out in West Brookfield for a while. I know that some people you know. So give me a call back when you get this. Now that I have your number and everybody's watching, also has your phone number, which again is, and I list his phone number. I go, so she called you again. You called her at 12:49, and we're going to get that. So now I have your number, and I'm going to plug you in, and we'll talk again soon. Bye. That's witness intimidation right there. I left a voicemail on a state trooper's voicemail asking him questions pertaining to the case that I'm investigating.
Is it his office, like his office voicemail or home?
It was his work associated phone number.
Right. So,
and it's on a public document.
Even if it's home, I don't care.
Exactly.
You didn't say anything. It was him. There's nothing threatening in there at all.
Again, I'm just going through Jen McCabe's call log and just calling all the numbers on her call log that she called, because I'm curious who she called that day. So I'm going to go through them all. Okay, who's this person? Hello? I got a lot of hangups. Nobody wanted to talk to me. I got his voice. I did not know it was going to be Michael Proctor when I called. So I called and I'm like, holy shit, it's Proctor. Like, yeah, they don't have a timestamp on here, so I can't find like the exact time in which I said this.
Right.
But I like if you play the tape, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, oh shit, it's Proctor. Holy shit. And I leave that voicemail. Where's the threat in that? Like, did I miss the threat, the intimidation? Where's the felony?
I can't figure it out. So this is Massachusetts, right?
Yeah, it's Massachusetts.
Let me pull the Massachusetts.
The statute.
Yeah, witness intimidation statute. I just want to see the actual wording of it, just to see if there's anything crazy I'm missing here. So intimidation of witnesses. This is here. I'll pull this up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Present this one. So section 13B, intimidation of witnesses, jurors, and persons furnishing information in connection with criminal proceedings. So as used in the section, the following words, so the following meanings. This is investigators in an individual or group of individuals lawfully authorized by a department or agency of the federal government or any political subdivision thereof, or a department or agency of the Commonwealth or any political subdivision thereof, to conduct or engage in an investigation of, prosecution for, and defense of a violation of the laws of the United States. So anyone associated with law enforcement at any level is an investigator. Harass is to engage in an act directed at a specific person or group of persons that seriously alarms or annoys. Now, let me stop y'all before you think annoys means what you think it means, because we're in America and the First Amendment does not allow such broad, vague language to be colloquialized into the same thing as when you're trying to jerk off and you have a rug burn on your penis. Okay, this is not the same thing that you're talking about when you're annoyed. such person or group of persons and would cause a reasonable person or group of persons to suffer substantial emotional distress, including but not limited to an act conducted by mail or by use of telephonic or telecommunication device or electronic communication device, including but not limited to a device that transfers signals or sign signals, wire, writing, images, sounds, data, or intelligence of any nature transmitted in whole or in part by a wire, radio, electromagnetic, photoelectronic, or photo-optical system, including but not limited to electronic mail, internet communications, instant messages, and facsimile communications. What I have to explain really quickly this concept, because annoy gets challenged because it's such a subjective term, right? I'm annoyed clearly at every Subway sandwich store in America for making sandwiches incorrectly. I am annoyed when I'm in traffic for more than 35 seconds. I am annoyed when one of my kids spills milk on the table. If you are annoyed by these mundane things and someone calls you, I am annoyed by my phone ringing. If you call me, you have literally broken the statute, because I'm suffering sufficient emotional distress as well, because I hate when my phone rings. So when you do that, that would be annoyance in the colloquial sense. Annoyance in the legal sense has to transcend into an actual thing, an actual tangible sort of concept. Annoying cannot merely be the rustling of your jimmies. Annoying someone is to take on a repeated activity designed to make a person unable to peaceably enjoy what they do. Like if they're at home and you call them once and they're annoyed, that's me. That's unreasonable. If you call them 50 times in a row and they're starting to get scared because the phone never stops ringing, they can't sleep at night because the phone is always ringing. You're pounding on their door. You're pounding on their windows over and over. These are the types of things that they mean with annoyance and harass. It's not just a mere haranguing of someone. It's not just mocking them. It is not being near them in public. That is not sufficient to satisfy these types of things. You have to take it a step beyond into an unreasonable or unconscionable activity, something that shocks a normal person's conscience, not your weak conscience, because people are subjectively frail. But objectively, we become remarkably stronger because everybody else hears what you're annoyed by and goes, well, that's kind of retarded. Like,
it's because this statute is like prime. Like I talked to a couple lawyers about this who are like, we need to attack the statute. Like we've been looking for a test case to overturn this statute for quite some time, because you just read the way it's written. That's basically everyone, right? I mean, that could be implied for everyone who's not annoyed. Who's not annoyed by shit, you know?
Again, I'm annoyed all day, every day from something. My Bluetooth didn't connect to my car. Like, did Ford harass me? Like, are they annoying me? Yes, they are. Make a better Bluetooth. I don't know. Go to a different Asian country to make the chip. I don't care. Like, just do it better. It cannot be that small thing. And that's why reasonableness starts to factor into this, why these sort of objective and subjective tests merge together in these concepts. But you'll find that annoying.
I saw a commenter made a good point here. Dog backwards says, so your actions didn't reach a level where a restraining order could be imposed, so they just charged you instead. 2 of the 8 people who I'm being charged with intimidating applied for harassment prevention orders. Both of them were denied by the judge, the same judge who I was arraigned in front of, denied on First Amendment grounds because the same speech you just heard, was determined not to be threatening. And so it wasn't enough to pass the very low bar of a harassment prevention order, but it was good enough to pass the extremely high bar of a felony witness intimidation charge.
Which is crazy.
And now they have stay away orders on me as a result of this. And I can't report on them, the major players involved in this case.
Right. And that's, of course, the goal. That's of course the goal is this prior restraint. Exactly what you're saying. Prior restraint means that you are imposed on your speech at the onset, and the speech is then presumed to be unlawful, which is the most disfavored type of speech sort of censorship that the United States has, and it should be regarded with the most scrutiny. But yeah, if you cannot pass the low showing of a civil harassment restraining order, then how, or a protective order, depending on how the state calls it, doesn't matter. If you can't pass that low bar, it should not be sufficiently sufficient probable cause to bring these charges. But yet here we are. But let's read the rest of the statute with the actual action is, because that's just the definitions of investigator and harass. But here we go. Whoever willfully, either directly or indirectly, threatens, attempts to, or causes physical, emotional, or economic injury or property damage to, conveys a gift, offer, or promise of anything of value to. So if you cause harm, or if you try and bribe, basically, or misleads, intimidates, or harasses another person. So misleading would be intentional lying, intimidating, or harassing being that sort of, which should have been encompassed up in this threatens or attempts to cause physical, emotional, or economic injury. To me, but that's sort of the idea, is that you don't do that, but you just kind of imply it very heavily. So who is a witness or potential witness, person who is or was aware of information, records, documents, or objects that relate to a violation of a criminal law or a violation of conditions of probation, parole, bail, or court order, judge, juror, grand juror, attorney, victim, witness, advocate, police officer, corrections officer, federal agent, investigator, clerk, court officer, court reporter, court interpreter, probation officer, or parole officer, blah, blah, person who is or was attending, or a person who had made known an intention to attend a proceeding described in this section, family member of a person described in this section with the intent to, or with reckless disregard for the fact that it may impede, obstruct, delay, prevent, or otherwise interfere with a criminal investigation at any stage, a grand jury proceeding, dangerousness hearing, a motion hearing, trial, or other proceedings. So all of these different things need to be in there. It has to impede or obstruct a court action, basically.
That's the big part there.
Right.
And so you tell me, so I've made, they don't connect the dots. They say, he said this, right? He said these things. And then at no point do they explain how any of those things got the were designed to get the witnesses to lie, how this is supposed to impede justice somehow. It's the opposite of that. I'm like asking questions about a matter. I'm generally curious. Like, why did you do these things, detective? You're the lead detective in this. A lot of your behavior is shady. I have questions about that. Can you answer my questions? I'm not trying to alter anyone's testimony here. I'm not trying to get anyone to lie. I'm trying to ask questions. You know, I'm encouraging people to tell the truth. That's it. What, that's a crime in America? Wild.
It's of course not. So you either have to impede, obstruct, or delay a court proceeding, or punish, harm, or otherwise retaliate against any such person described in this section, or a family member, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you have to do one of those two things. Finally, a prosecution under this section may be brought in the county with the criminal investigation, trial, or other proceeding was being conducted or took place in, or the county in which the alleged conduct constituting the offense occurred. So you mentioned earlier that they hadn't brought the one charge against you because it wasn't in that county, but they should have still been able to bring that charge under the statute.
It would just be in a different courthouse. So I don't know, a different district attorney. No, it would be the same district attorney. I don't know.
According to this section, it says a prosecution under this section may be brought in the county in which the criminal investigation, trial, or other proceeding was being conducted or took place, or in the county in which the alleged conduct constituting the offense occurred. So
the guy that lives there, he's the Boston cop that used to own the house behind me, and he moved. He's a real hardo. Maybe he would be embarrassed to like go in front of a judge and be like, I'm scared of Turtleboy. Maybe that would be the thing that keeps him, or maybe he's like 8 felonies is enough. I don't really need to emasculate myself and say that I need protection from Turtleboy. You're a big, tough Boston police sergeant. You beat people up a lot. You're a big, tough guy. So maybe that's a little humiliating for him to do that. And, but I don't know. Either way, the charging documents, like the next one I have here is wild. This is the one I got for the wife of the state trooper. Okay. So a little background. So this woman, her name is Elizabeth Proctor. She began to call the workplaces of my Turtle Riders, my followers, who commented negative things about her husband. So people would say Michael Proctor was involved in the cover up and he's shady and he planted the taillight and blah, blah, blah. And Elizabeth Proctor sitting at home, taking notes, writing names down, finding out who your employer is, calling them up and saying they should be fired. So she was harassing people at their workplaces. So I said as follows, right? I called her up on my show, and this is what I said on my show. I said, I can think of 2 people who deserve to lose their jobs over this. Michael Proctor and Elizabeth Proctor. These 2 lowlifes think they're untouchable. They're nothing but bullies who terrorize people for years. But now they've met their match. In the post, Kearney states Elizabeth works as a human resource manager at Instron and posts the main phone number for her company. The post then states, but you're probably not going to reach anyone that way. So feel free to leave a review on their wide open Facebook page or their Twitter account. So I looked at this as this woman's trying to get people fired at their workplace.
Of course.
So here's where she works. Yeah, karma's a bitch. You know, like you want to play in the gutter, you're gonna get dirty. Here we go. And then on my show on May 10th, I leave the following comment. They put my phone number out there.
Hold on.
Fine, you know?
I gotta address something in chat because I love this. I love this. Hugh Jerickson says if he's not breaking any laws, they aren't either. Saying if you're not breaking any laws, no one said they're breaking laws. Like that's the thing. Like calling up.
Who's them? Her making. I see what you're saying.
Her calling up people's employers isn't breaking laws, just being a bitch.
Yeah.
Like it's just being a salty cunt.
Yeah. We can say cunt. We can say cunt on here. I was gonna call her.
You can say whatever you want on here. We're about to actually switch to Rumble, and then you can say even more. But I tend to call people cunts because, like, you're in a criminal case or whatever, and I'm just a walking, waiting criminal case. I'm sure.
So this is that's the narrative of what I said. I'm gonna bring up the video here, right? Of what I actually said on the show. I call her phone because I got her phone number, and I call her on my show, and I leave the following voicemail. I don't know if you let's see.
Yeah. Here we go.
Oh yeah, take your time.
Okay. So you left this voicemail that you're about to play.
And this is the witness.
7193. Okay.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 617.
This is Aidan Kearney calling you back from Turtleboy. We briefly spoke yesterday on the phone. I introduced myself to you, and then you hung up on me, or maybe it was a bad connection. But I just wanted to see how your day at work went today, if it went well. I noticed that your employer took down their social media pages within minutes of the blog I published about your recent behavior. And I just wanted to see, is it awkward? Were you afraid to go in? Just tell me about your day and why, because that's the part I don't understand, is that you seem to be okay with calling other people's workplaces and interfering with their ability to make a living for themselves. But when it happens to you, maybe it's not as fun. Maybe it's not as fun. Do you like that? That's what I want to know. Did you like that? Like, because you've been doing that to a lot of other people, and do you think it's fair that it happened to you, dear? Do you regret it? Do you regret it? And what's your scumbag husband up to right now? Are you going to visit him in prison? Do you think they'll have conjugal visits? Give me a call back when you get this, and we could chat some more. Bye, girl. So that's a felony. That's a felony. Like I left a voicemail. Like I'm like, oh, is there gonna be a conjugal visit in jail? That's a felony. You go to jail for that for 10 years now in this country. Okay.
That's an insane. It's an insane proposition because one, it's really hard to intimidate someone over voicemail in general. Like, because let's not be naive about it. Intimidation, harassment and threats typically, when they're delivered remotely by mail, whatever, they have to be very clear and explicit, right? Like I am going to come over there and I'm going to cut your toes off with wire cutters, something like that, right? Your idea is to make them actually afraid. And so you have to get kind of specific. You can't just go like, oh, I'm going to come over there, things are going to get rowdy or whatever. Like that's not, if that's delivered by text, it's not very helpful. Now, if someone is standing in front of you and they're a foot taller, a foot wider, like any man next to me or whatever, like if they're that, and then they look down at you, they've got like a glass in their hand or something. They say, if I have to come over there, things are going to get a little rowdy. It can be the exact same words, but convey way different meanings because now you've got a lot of context. You've got a lot more imminence to it. The threat becomes much more relevant. But even in that case, like a voicemail makes it extremely hard because they're not going to hear it anytime. Like you don't know if they'll hear it now or in 10 hours or 10 days. And if it's me, even longer. But you're removed from the area. So the threat has to get more and more specific. There's nothing there. Did you like your day? Seems like it was rough. That's mockery. It's like you're mocking them.
Satire. What you just heard there is satire. Yeah, it's cunty. I'm like, I'm obviously being
you're
an asshole. Yeah, I'm being a huge dick. Guilty as charged. That's not you. You're allowed to be a salty asshole in the United States of America. That is not a felony. How many people would be locked up? A very salty asshole went to jail for 10 years. I mean, we're all keep in mind, this woman did the same thing. She did the same thing to so many people. She called their workplaces, and then it happened to her. And because her husband is a corrupt state trooper and they have all the guns, I get locked up. Not her, though. I mean, this is the face of privilege, these people. They got whatever they want because they're banging the powerful people with the guns. So what is intimidation?
You have a friend in chat named Michelle, and she's demanding to watch the live streams instead of the actual harassing live streams. Michelle,
we just did.
Sweetheart, let me help you out. In a charging document for a crime related to speech, a critical element of the crime is the actual evidence that they're using to develop probable cause, which means that they will say the speech that is infringing. They will say the speech that violates the statute, that is the harm, the intimidation. Every live stream, clip that we have watched so far is from directly the charging document covering specifically the language that they are talking about. If they wanted to include other language in the charging document or other live streams of actual intimidation, actual in quotes, intimidation, they had the opportunity. He's not charged with any other statements than what is on the document. He's not charged with a general miasma of speech. You can't be, because even if someone conveys a threat in a paragraph, the threat is usually confined to a word or phrase, or maybe a couple words or phrases. The rest of the paragraph is otherwise protected speech, and absent some sort of contextual usage in evidence is not relevant to the underlying question of, is the speech infringing? Because that speech cannot be illegal. If it's wrapped up with the illegal speech, you get an immediate dismissal because it is overbroad. If a statute encompasses legal speech along with illegal speech, it cannot be constitutional by the definitions of the Supreme Court and how we've developed First Amendment jurisprudence. If you can't follow along, sweetheart, I'm going to ask you to go to the remedial class and go back to Legal Eagle's channel, where he will milk you for all of the stupidity you're worth. With that, guys, I'm going to read a couple more super chats. We're going to pop over to Rumble, and we're going to keep going on this, but we do pop over at an hour in. And we've got, let's do this. Well, just a couple here. Ryan Acorn says, even if he believes he's going after a murder, don't pretend this isn't intentional harassing under the colloquial definition. We all see the true intention. We aren't completely retarded. This behavior is hard to support. Ryan, so a couple things. One, no one is asking you to support the behavior of Turtleboy. I vehemently unsupport Turtleboy's behavior in all things that he's ever done in his life. That being said, the question is not whether or not you support the behavior. The question is, what is worse? Annoying behavior of an asshole who is belligerent, or a government leveraging the power of the Department of Justice to deprive you of all essential liberty under a felony statute, which a conviction will stick with you for the rest of your life if you are allowed to leave prison. Leveraging that for what should be protected speech. Offensive, annoying, problematic, uncouth speech is the most critical to protect, because no one cares if you protect the word hello. I hope you had a nice day. Everyone cares if you protect the words, you are a stupid pile of shit who should probably be run over by a bus, because that's way harder to protect. Your children should get cancer and die is a hard statement to protect, but that is the critical statement to protect, specifically because it's difficult, because that offensive statement gives way for every other statement you say to be offensive. And if you don't understand that, I'm sorry. I think you do. I think you
Brilliant.
do, Ryan Acorn,
Brilliant.
because I'm pretty sure I know who you are. And no one is asking you to support what Turtleboy has done in any way. We're simply saying that the government doesn't get the right to punish us over these mundane things because you've encountered an asshole every day of your life. Meeting another one is not special.
And I'm not being charged with harassment. I'm being charged with witness intimidation. So he's saying that don't pretend this isn't potentially harassing. I'm not. I don't believe it's harassing, but that's not the charge. The charge is witness intimidation.
He's
So
also
explain to me.
I think he is also delineating that it's not harassing under the legal definition either. He's just saying,
which is
like,
the only thing that matters.
Right.
Which is the only thing that matters. So okay, it's like that's actually one of the judge that denied the order against one of these people actually said that. He said that under he's a real masshole. This guy. He's like, well, under the Webster's definition version of harassment, yeah, that's harassment. But according to MGL section whatever, it's not. So I can only go by what the law says. So according to Webster's dictionary, it might be, but I got to follow the law, and the law says it's not harassment. So I'm denying this order.
Of course,
It's that simple.
It's amazing. Like, hey, it just is. Again, is it speech that you would want to happen? No, and Ryan, and again, I'm pretty sure I recognize Ryan Acorn's name. If your contention is, I wouldn't do this and I wish other people wouldn't, well, yeah, of course. Like, that's fine. That no one would ask you to say anything other than that. There's a lot of things I wish people wouldn't do. I wish I had a cookie today from a sample thing and they didn't tell me what kind of cookie it was. It had butterscotch in it. I wanted to murder that that person's entire family. It's like, don't put butterscotch in cookie. You know what you could try instead of butterscotch? Sugar, just regular sugar. But if you put butterscotch in there, you deserve to be killed. And so, like, I don't want them to do that, but it shouldn't be illegal to put butterscotch in cookies. Under my presidency, it would. Swedish asylum seeker says prayers for DSP, who's been sick and unable to stream. Oh my God, DSP. I hope he's doing well. See, Goody says, are you not turtly enough for the Turtle Club?
Me or you?
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely in the Turtle Club.
I don't know. I'm not in any clubs. Clubs don't want me. Once a club accepts me in, they become responsible for what I do, and what I do is always bad. Kate C, aka Snake Plush Kitten, says, could these people be charged with RICO felonies over what they are doing? You know, that's a really interesting question, Kate C. It's almost like not. I would say not the court. Maybe the police officers, the councilmen, stuff like that. There's a possibility that they could. That's actually funny enough. They're very limited cases that RICO is used for, and where you're finding RICO prosecutions actually being successful lately involve police crime rings. Quite a bit, because they use evidence lockers to gather material that they sell in unlawful racketeering organizations, and they also end up running protection rackets and intimidation rackets. So could they, in this case, I don't know, you need a lot of evidence for it. The problem at all times with prosecuting anyone who's in law enforcement is that the people who need to prosecute them are working with them every single day.
Well, as it so happens, I mean, many of these people, a federal grand jury was convened in December. Several of the people that I'm talking about here have had the FBI visit them, give them subpoenas, and had to testify in front of the federal grand jury. I have sources in the federal court who have told me they've seen these people there. I also have sources in the district attorney's office who have told me that FBI agents have been in there no less than 4 times and are asking for cell phones for certain employees that work there. So it's our belief that the district attorney's office itself is the one under investigation here. And if that happens, I've never heard of that before. A district attorney. Have you ever heard of a district attorney being arrested and indicted by the United States Attorney's Office? I've never heard of it.
I cannot specifically say that I could cite to one, but I'm fairly certain it has happened. Again, because it's one of the basic complaints we have about stuff that's completely unrelated to this, but people are always like, Well, if cops always lie, why don't they ever get charged with perjury? It's like, because they lie for the state, and the state would have to charge them with perjury. It has to get so egregious and has to get so much public attention and then public will behind it that usually a special investigator is appointed, a special counsel is appointed, someone who is outside of the system that is literally a crime ring. They have to bring in someone to investigate a potential crime ring that they're not associated with it. And then they have to somehow get someone in the crime ring to crack. And it's the way to do this, guys, the way to picture this is, imagine you have the mafia and you have like one of the 5 families, right? And you're looking at the top guy of the 5 families, and he has under him this network of people. And then they start skimming off the guy up top. And he doesn't really notice it until something comes back. Like something is fishy. It's been bothering him. He gets some weird note about the numbers. He gets some disagreeing information where 2 people screwed up. He can't ask Nikki and Paulie to go investigate Nick, Nico, Paul, Paulie, Paulina. He can't ask these guys to go investigate themselves. So he has to call someone else. He has to bring someone from outside in to start looking at the ring. If you want to figure out how hard it is to deal with a crime ring within law enforcement or the Department of Justice or a State Department of Justice, you have to look at it as if they're a mafia that can't just shoot everybody. Like, it's really fucking difficult because they have to, and they also are bound by various laws in their investigation techniques and even who can investigate. So, it certainly RICO is a possibility. I know DAs have been arrested, punished, and prosecuted as parts of various things because, hey, if they just conveniently refuse to prosecute everybody who's guilty in the ring, then they're in the ring, and that's the circumstantial evidence. But it's hard to find, and it's hard to catch, and it's really, because of all the discretion involved, it becomes really hard to prosecute these things until public outrage goes up. And what happens, Mr. Turtleboy, when someone attempts to raise public outrage about a potential crime ring with cover-ups in law enforcement? What happens to those people?
They disappear
and get charged with like 8 felonies, right?
Or they get cleaned. I don't know. Like,
you get publicly maligned by a government. Like, there's a government out there. There's news stories out there about how terrible you are as a human being.
And I mean, well, in this case, it's like the whole purpose of the United States Attorney's Office is it's supposed to be independent of, the local small town bullshit, right? Like, the United States Attorney is from like New York or something around here. They have no roots here. They're supposed to be independent of that. And to be honest, the United States Attorney's Office in Massachusetts has prosecuted some really big scumbags. Like the mayor of Fall River was involved in taking bribes for cannabis licenses in the city. They've gone after a lot of scumbags. So I got to give them credit. I have faith in the United States Attorney's Office, at least here, maybe not in other places, but to actually hold, there has to be a check. Like the district attorney cannot be the by all end all of the legal process around here. There needs to be someone above them that can check them when they're not upholding the law, which is what's happening here in Canton, Massachusetts.
Yeah, and I'll mildly disagree. I won't disagree. There has to be someone above them who can hold them accountable. You're 100% right. But who holds them actually accountable? Who gets the government action of that higher person is us. It's independent journalists. It's independent citizens. It is people. Totally. Guys, to get the government to even investigate itself, you have to manifest political will to do so. These are all elected officials. DAs are elected officials. So if you want a DA to investigate a lower department or a state department to go after them, they have to overcome the amount of political will and grace that a law enforcement department has. Remember, the same law enforcement department that might have murdered one of their own and then framed a woman is the same law enforcement that literally shows up to people when their husbands are beating them, and they stop the husbands from beating them. They show up when one of their kids are hurt or missing, and they help them look. They show up at public events. They flip pancakes at a fucking pancake feed. They're the same. They have the biggest PR campaign in the world, because not only do they do these things to try and build your goodwill that they're not going to murder their children or your children, but they also protect yours whenever they're not committing crime. So to overcome the fact that you have to get people to realize that the person protecting them may also be bad, and they have to speak out against the person who is protecting them, but also can kick their door down. The amount of political will that has to manifest has to come organically from people and then be transferred up to the state authorities to then go, oh shit, if I don't look at this, I won't be reelected. If I do look at this, I can get to the source of this and then I can use it to run. Remember, they're self-interested political monsters. They have motivations. They're people. And that is both their weakness and our strength. So that's key to all of this. You cannot just, it's not so simple as saying, well, a DA will come in and investigate. No, they won't. Why would they? They have no need to. The police departments have massive political will, even in neighborhoods where they're hated. It's crazy. The Squid, Ryan Acorn seems like a moral fag. I like it that he's attempting to find the truth. By the way, I love the joke about the conjugal visits. It's funny AF.
Yeah, you're allowed to make jokes in America.
Not anymore.
It's okay.
Ryan Acorn says, my contention is this doesn't free the falsely accused or condemn the guilty. Why not bark at the FBI who can do something? Well, I believe I just made an impassioned speech about political will. If you just call the FBI and say, yeah, my police in my town are committing a crime ring, they don't care ever. Like they just don't. Like, oh, FBI, the police killed this person and then they're covering it up. They're not coming to investigate. First of all, it's out of their jurisdiction to investigate the crime. They have to investigate the corruption, and you have to give them a reason to do so. And if you're just a person who says the police are corrupt, yeah, so does everybody. Like everybody will say that at some point. That you have to manifest political will, and you may not like how it's done. I think most people, if you start to analyze in history how political will is manifested all the way back to the revolution, people today would hate all of it. You'd hate it. You'd hate the guy. You'd hate Alexander Hamilton standing in a public square bad-mouthing the king if you were a subject of the king whose farm depended on the protection of the British army that was there from the natives. You would hate the guy protesting the king when the king is regulating the flow of grain to the country that you're going to purchase and also regulating the purchase price of it, giving you predictability and stability in your business. You would hate these guys sending your children to war for a country that they believe in that you've never heard of. Rabble rousing and political will building isn't pretty. It never has been. It starts with civil disobedience. It starts with civil unrest because the following condition is uncomfortable. The justification is that the result will be a better place. But it's easier to stay where we are every time. With that, we're going to Rumble, baby. We got 25 seconds of this little Rumble transition, guys. We will see you over there. The link to the Rumble show is in the description of the YouTube. No, it's not. It's in the pin chat on YouTube. I'll get it in the description for the replay. It's in the pin chat on YouTube. Make sure you click it.
Can you watch Rumble on TV? People always ask me that. Like
some
people watching TV.
I think Amazon Fire. I think the Fire Sticks have a Rumble app. I think Roku might have a Rumble app. They're getting it more and more out there. You can watch Rumble on TV. It's just I don't know the specifics.
I love Rumble. I love Rumble. It's just like you just wish they were more integrated and shit, you know. But I love it. I'm not trying to bash Rumble. I use Rumble.
No, they're building. I mean, I'll bash Rumble for plenty of stuff. I'm actually going to a Rumble event this week. I'm going to be talking hopefully with the CEO and other people because I have a list of things that I'm like, guys, I really think that these things are critical to address.
It's got a lot of potential. It's got the most important thing is free speech. Now you just got to make it all the features that YouTube has. You got to have those features too.
Exactly.
And then we're good. You know?
Yeah. YouTube just has a 12-year head start on Rumble on all these features. And they're working. We're hoping that it's better and better. And it is better and better every day. There's just features that I want them to focus on more. But hey, we'll get to that. Guys, see you in 25 seconds over on Rumble. Follow the link to YouTube. See you tomorrow. Peace.